All right, so we've been doing some work on the van and we got it all empty right now. And I thought this would be a good time to take a moment to talk about how we designed the van to be both a camper van as well as still a utilitarian van. So this van was designed, we designed it specifically so that we could get it back to this state in like 30 minutes. From the built out state. And let me show you how we did that. The first thing we did was we kind of isolated the two main systems that we need in the van. The two main systems I consider would be electrical and heat. So the electrical, we've got 200 watts of solar coming in. It's coming in through, here's your charge controller, some electronics. It comes down through here, and we've got our circuit board right here underneath the driver's seat. And then up here, can't see it, but underneath the driver's seat is the 100 amp hour lithium house battery. So that's what's all being taken care of. So the only thing you have to plug in is this little adapter plugs into the galley to power the fridge, little chest fridge, and the water pump. The other important system is we've mounted the heater underneath the passenger seat. This is piped or plumbed into the gas tank. It is a gas heater. So it pulls gasoline right out of the gas tank. So you don't have to carry a second fuel thing. And then over here is the thermostat for that thing. And then I guess the light switches are kind of the next thing. So that's all that's in here right now. And the way we designed it was we built in these rails. These are tied into the frame really well. And you can see each of these rails. This has 3 bolts already. This one's got 3 bolts. And this one over here has 3 bolts. This is how we have, a very kind of modular system. So we're gonna end up putting a box that covers this wheel well right here. And it just bolts in 3 places. There'll be a box that mounts in right here, just bolts in with 3 places. And then there'll be the galley mounts in right here. And yeah, we'll probably show that in the next video. But yeah, what it does is it allows us to empty the van out of all of its, camping stuff and turn it back into a very useful vehicle. We can run it to the hardware store. We can move things around, help our friends move, stuff like that. I guess I should mention the floor real quick. For the floor, we decided to go with one of these pre-cut indoor-outdoor carpet things that are purpose-built for this van. It's all cut and designed to fit perfectly. This is, I forget how much it costs. It's not a ton, but it's very durable. We've had this piece in here since 2017, I think, maybe 18, and have never replaced it. And you can see it's in great shape. But the intent was this is waterproof, indoor, outdoor. We take it out and hose it out every now and then. Easily replaceable if something were to go wrong. So that's the floor. All right, so we've installed one of the wheel well boxes, driver's side. Let me just show you what that looks like. And then I'll probably just do a time lapse of installing the other one. But this is the wheel well box. The way it's installed is you pop open this guy, and what you can see is right here, there's a bolt, 9/16 nut. We just bolted in 3 spots right there. And then this wheel well box, I'll show you the inside of that. You can get to this door pretty easily from the main area here when it's all assembled. But you got a nice deep well. Oh, there's my gloves. Nice deep well up top. Kind of a shallow well here because you got the wheel well going on there, but big shelf. This shelf is a little harder to get to, so this is where I tend to store all the items that I'm not using a lot, like my tools, snow chains, the jack, all those odds and ends that are like kind of more on the emergency side of stuff, because it's a little harder to dig in here, especially into the back, because once you get this all put together, there's going to be a mattress here, and you can get to this side pretty easily. You can roll the mattress back and get in down here. This one's pretty hard to get into because it's kind of in the middle of the mattress. And then at the back end, if you're out here outside, this one is a little bit easier to get to. It does have a little weird shelf here that doesn't really do much. It'd be nice to cover that off with a little bar so we can just leave things in here. I'm not sure what I'd leave in there, but right now this section is not very useful. All right, so now we're gonna put in the passenger side wheel well cover, wheel well box. So here's what the back of the box looks like. If you want to just kind of get an idea of what we're looking at, it's really simple. 2x4 framing with some 1/4-inch plywood, sheathe it, and then a good door on the front. And you can see there's 3 little bolts here waiting for it on this T-track or whatever they call that. So we'll just slide it in here. All right, at this point, we've got both wheel well boxes in place. And honestly, in the, I don't know, 5-6 years we've had this van, we've stripped it down to this level a few times. It's very handy, but we haven't really ever taken these wheel well boxes out unless we needed to get the carpet out to do a full deep clean and get it stripped way down. But for like general utilitarian, you can see when you get these wheel well boxes out, or when you get it down to this level of assembly, you got a lot of room in here. So we'd strip it down to this far. If we were doing a big run, you know, at a Home Depot, or if we were helping a friend move, we'd get it down to this far and just leave these wheel well boxes in. And you can see it's still a very useful cargo van. And the nice thing about it is you still can leave, you know, all your jack and your chains. You can leave all that stuff in here. We put usually our camping chairs, our camping tables go in here. And it's got the same deep well. That fits camping chairs really well, and your camp tables, the roll-up ones, they all fit in here. Down here we keep, I don't know, hatchet, tire jet, the blocks to level the van out, stuff like that. We keep that down in there. But you get to keep all that stuff in here when you're doing your Home Depot runs and helping your friends move. You don't have to repack the entire van. So really liked this configuration for when we need to use the van for utility and not so much for camping. All right, so the next piece we're gonna put in is the galley. The galley goes right here in this opening. It's kind of the same setup as these wheel well boxes. It's gonna be 3 bolts. We're gonna slide the galley in and we'll just bolt in those 3 things. And the galley's probably one of the harder things to put in simply because it's a little bit bigger and it's a little bit heavier. It's got the countertop. It's got more drawers and slides in it. So it's a bit more chunky to move around. But at the end of the day, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bolt it in 3 places and we're gonna plug it in right here. This little plug-in, all it does is it runs the fridge and the water pump. And we'll talk about the galley once we get it into here. All right, I'm getting ready to put the galley in. Here's the galley. I thought I'd show you a few things about the galley while it's out, because it's just kind of easier to see. But yeah, here's the galley. Again, it bolts in with 3 bolts behind this. We made some decisions when we decided to do the galley. 2 things you're working with. You're working with a stove and you're working with water. And let's talk about the stove first. As you'll notice, there is no stove built in. And that's because we decided, you know what, we don't want to build in our stove. We just use a camp stove sitting on here because we cook outside most of the time. We just don't cook inside a bunch. So when we do need to cook inside, we just set our stove right here and we use a little butane stove or a jet boil. And most of the time we're just making coffee in the morning while we're getting up and at it. And we cook outside almost all the time. I don't know if you've been in a camper where people have been cooking inside a ton, or in a van where people have been cooking inside a whole lot. It gets pretty gross pretty fast. You can smell it. So anyways, there is no stove built in. In fact, we have a little butane stove that we got at Target, I think. A little Coleman that fits in this drawer right here. Let's talk about the drawers. So we got 2 drawers. This is where we usually keep our silverware, cooking stuff, pans, pots, that kind of stuff. Then here's another drawer where another same drawer. This is a big, just open thing that we can slip a crate in there. Here's where we get to our water. Now, let's talk about water real quick. we decided to keep our water fairly portable. So what you're gonna see here is this is a 6-gallon jerry can. That's our fresh water. And then down in here is a 2.5-gallon jerry. I think it's 2.5 gallons, something like that, jerry can. Let me circle around to the back. What we have here, you can see the plumbing going on. Fresh water, it just comes in through this little pipe. This tube goes all the way to the bottom. So we pull our fresh water out of here. It comes up through a, I forget the name of these pumps, but it's the kind of pump that it works with this thing. So once it's on, you just turn this and it turns on. And then you can see it's real simple draining. This is all, it comes down, it comes out there, hooks under and drains into the little 2.5-gallon jerry can. So this is the gray water. 3 gallon says right there. So that's our 3 gallon. So then you just dump that gray water once in a while, you know, whenever you need to. Yeah, we have had this pump freeze on us. We've had to replace it once. And that's because we didn't, essentially when you get done, you should run your faucet until it's not pumping water. And we forgot to do that and it froze up. That's another reason why we went with jerry cans. So we didn't want to deal with a built-in water tank. They can get moldy and they're hard to clean. We didn't want to build it in, and we just carry 3 of these with us. We carry this one in here, 6 gallons there, and then 2 other underneath the bed. And that gives us, 18 gallons of water. And these are easy to take into the grocery store and fill up in the big water tank thing, or take it over to a spigot. They're just really easy to work with. I think this is a really good method. Finally, you're gonna see, this is where we plug in to the plug-in on the van. And you can see that runs this fridge. I haven't shown you the fridge yet. And it runs the little pump there. So the fridge, last little thing we got is the fridge is in a big slide-out drawer. And it's, I forget the details of this fridge, but it's a pretty big chest-style Dometic. I can't remember the numbers on it, but I'm a big fan of these, of chest styles for in the van. Essentially, this is, you'll see regular fridges, the door fridges that you pull open quite a bit in vans. I've seen people bounce down a gravel road and that door opens up and all their stuff falls out. And then just economic, thermally, I guess you would say, you open up this chest. We all know hot air rises, cold air settles. So you're losing cold air when you open this up, but it's not just your cold air that you've spent energy filling this thing up with doesn't just roll out. Whereas you can imagine if you've got a fridge that's more shaped like this, you open that up, all that cold air you've just lost it all. And I just feel like upright fridges are a little harder they're less efficient with space. Yeah, in here you have to dig around and probably whatever you're looking for is probably in the bottom. But you're able to pack this full of stuff a lot more efficiently. You can get a lot of stuff in here. With an upright, you're dealing with shelves, right? And I don't know, just in my opinion, this is the way to go. But I'm biased. All right, let's go put it in the van. All right, so now we got the galley installed. I already talked about most of it, but let me show you how it's bolted in. Right back here, if you look back up in there, there's 2 bolts holding it to the rail, and then you have to pull this drawer out to get to the last bolt. I can show you, might be able to see it back in there. There it is, hiding back in there. You just got to pop this drawer out to get to it. And that's about it. Now you can see with the galley in, just have this overhang built in so that you can get into this nook. It's not the most convenient nook to get into, but now the galley is put in. Now the reality is, this is the configuration we go down to quite often when we're not camping in here. There's only 2 more there's a bunk. There's only 3 more components to put in. And to get to this configuration from the full build out is literally 10 to 15 minutes of effort. It's really easy to do. I can do it by myself. And as you can see, we still have a pretty good cargo van. So this is a very regular configuration for us because this galley is a bit of a pain to take in and out. It's got the fridge, usually has a bunch of dishes, a stove, jet boil, all that stuff's over there. In these two, we got our jerry can, our gray water, junk, any odds and ends in there, towels and stuff is all in here. So we don't typically take this out. That takes a little more time, mostly just in the packing and unpacking of it. But there's really not a lot going on in these containers. This is, you'll see when we get it together, we've got a place for tubs. It's going to go right across the front here. And then just two shelves in the back, and what we call the garage area. And there's just not usually stuff in there because it's our clothes from when we travel. It's our bikes. It's our, our climbing gear and stuff is all shoved in that stuff. Well, we don't keep that in the van. So this section is usually pretty empty and easy to pop in and out. Right, yeah, I'm going to start to assemble the bunk platform. I went ahead and got the box in place so you didn't have to watch me struggle to get it in place. And let me show you how we finish pushing it in place. So it comes in from back here. It sits on those 2x4s you can see. There's like a 2x4 rail down there and there. And this one, let me go ahead and truck this. We just keep sliding it forward, pull it away. Here we go. We take bolts. They come in on the sides here. Wait, let you do it. There it is. All right, I didn't film it, but let me show you what I added was the last half of the bunk. So this is the sleeping platform. It's real simple. It's a sheet of plywood with two rails, 2x4s, and it's bolted into the four corners with through bolts. So you got a bolt and a nut here, bolt and a nut there, bolt and a nut on this side right there, and one over there. And then shut all these guys down, and there is the sleeping platform. Now we got one more shelf to put in. Now that we're back here, this is the back end, obviously. Call this the garage. I cut these nooks out, or I left these empty, because we can nest our mountain bikes together and get them to fit inside across the back here, so we don't have to carry them on the back in on a bike rack and get them all dirty, possibly get them stolen. We can fit them in here, so that's why we have this cutout right on either side. All right, let's add the last little shelf in here. All right, we got the last shelf. The garage shelf is in here now. So another simple shelf sits on the 2x4 rails. This one is easily attached. I don't know if I can see that with some of these, I don't know, barrel locks, I think they call those things. I don't know. Pretty easy, not even bolted in. Also, this is where I keep the 2 extra jerry cans. So those are in there, and you can see they even have a little bungee cord with a mount back in there to hold them in place. And then, yeah, so when we're traveling, this is a great spot we have a big tub, I forget the brand, but it fits right in there, and that's a great spot to carry a bunch of gear, or you can throw, this is where backpacks go, paddle boards go, stand-up paddleboard, the inflatable paddle boards go, all sorts of stuff can go in here, helmets, stuff like that. And across the front is the bikes typically. And then underneath it, you can fit some big, I think you can fit, if I'm not mistaken, I know you can, I can't remember how many wide, but you can get the big tubs, 2 layers deep, maybe 6 under there. I can't exactly remember. And those you can get to from the front because you can slide them out the front side. As you can see, it is open to the front. So that's it. Now we're gonna put the mattress on and I think we'll be done. All right, this is a little feature we added kind of maybe 2 years ago. I cannot remember what this is called. I'll have to look it up, but it's designed for RVs and boats and stuff like that. And it's kind of like springs, I guess you would say. It goes underneath your mattress. And what you can see is they give it a little bit of a squish. So these things are squishy. So the mattress will sit on that. And the big thing it's supposed to do is, besides giving it more spring, it also is supposed to let air circulate underneath the mattress, which I guess is a problem. I don't know. Anyways, just wanted to show you what we did here. and you can adjust. They're kind of cool. We haven't really tweaked it too much. It's been fine. It does have different colors, and these are different like softnesses. So like under our shoulders here, so we usually sleep with our head here, shoulders are here. We have a little softer band, and then it gets back to firm. And you can even add one more piece in the middle of these things to make them like really firm if you want to, like maybe your hips are bottoming out. I don't know. So anyways, that's all tweakable. But the important thing I did was to mount it, I split it right here. Usually they just kind of all hook together. You can see like how it's all pieced together. But I wanted to be able to get under here when the mattress was still on. So we do have this in two different pieces, and that's so we can get into there. On this side, it's a little annoying. You can still do it. You have to fold it back, and then you can get underneath there. But really, you can also get in from right here. So yeah, I wish I could remember what this thing was called, but it has made it pretty comfy, really comfy actually. All right, the last thing we added was the mattress. This is, I believe, I don't know, you can see there, it's maybe a 3-inch thick foam mattress that we got from IKEA. It is a queen wide. The width though has been cut down. The width is just over 6 feet. I'm 6 foot tall, and I can sleep this way. And that's the way I usually sleep, is east-west. You can see we have got these kind of like recessed panels on either side. And that was specifically to try to get us up to 6 feet or over 6 feet across, because yeah, I wanted to sleep this way. You just save so much room in your van if you can sleep east-west. And that was the main reason why we chose a ProMaster, was because it's the widest van. At least at the time, I'm not sure recently, but it was wider than a Sprinter or a Transit at that time. So that was one of the reasons we chose this, was we can barely eke out 6 feet wide across here. I think that's about it for the bunk. We do have these rails up here. I built them in. They're tied into the frame. They're good and strong. It's the same rail, same system we use to bolt all the other cabinets on. And the intent was to maybe someday build some upper cabinets that bolt in somehow up here and up there. We never did it. We never needed it. But that option is available. Yeah, and so I think that's the final product of the van. You can see. Let me see if I can do a sweep around. It's kind of hard to see it all, but that's it.